learn about postnatal screening. Right? And we need to be able to describe the diagnostic test for phenylketonuria and explain a little bit about how phenylketonuria occurs. Postnatal screening are checks that are carried out after the baby has been born to check that the baby is healthy. And the screening test check for any conditions or abnormalities that the baby may have. One of the tests that's used to test for metabolic disorders is the heel prick test. So this happens about 5 days after birth, and the midwife uses a sterile pin to prick the baby's heel, and they squeeze the baby's heel to get small amounts of blood out, which are spotted onto a card and sent away to be tested for a variety of disorders. For example, phenylketonuria or PKU, which we will learn about shortly, hypothyroidism, cystic fibrosis, sickle cell disease, and this MCAD deficiency. A mutation in a gene can result in a non-functional enzyme. This can block metabolic pathways and cause disease, and we refer to this as an inborn error of metabolism. So if you think back to when we covered metabolic pathways, you will know that metabolic pathways are a series of enzyme-controlled reactions where the substrate is broken down to become a product by an enzyme. That product then becomes the substrate for the next enzyme, and so on and so on. If the gene that's responsible for producing one of these enzymes is mutated, you will get a non-functional enzyme, and that can disrupt the metabolic pathway. And a condition that results in the disruption of a metabolic pathway is phenylketonuria, or PKU. This is a condition whereby the enzyme that is responsible for converting the amino acid phenylalanine into tyrosine is mutated, and it blocks that metabolic pathway. It affects around 1 in 10,000 people in the UK. Phenylalanine is an amino acid, and we get phenylalanine when we consume protein in our diet. Normally, phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine by an enzyme, and then tyrosine can be converted into other metabolites, for example, melanin or thyroxine. However, with PKU, the gene that codes for the enzyme that's responsible for converting phenylalanine into tyrosine is mutated, and the enzyme does not work. Okay, so you can see that the metabolic pathway becomes blocked, right? Because the enzyme is non-functional. This will cause phenylalanine levels to increase. This is caused by a substitution mutation in the gene that codes for the enzyme. Right? And as we know from Unit 1, substitution mutations happen when the order of the bases in the DNA is altered. This then results in a change to the amino acid that's included in the protein, and that can affect the overall shape and therefore the function of the protein. Okay. So here you can see the substitution mutation shows that one of the nucleotides has been substituted for a different nucleotide which has a different base on it. That then codes for a different amino acid in the protein. If a baby has got PKU, they are unable to convert phenylalanine into tyrosine, and this means that phenylalanine will build up in the brain and the body tissues. This affects the metabolism of the brain cells and limits the mental development in an untreated sufferer. People with PKU cannot have anything containing protein. That's how it's treated. It's tested for 5 days after birth. Before birth, any excess phenylalanine would simply pass across the placenta and be broken down by the mother. Okay. So individuals who have high levels of phenylalanine are placed on a restrictive diet where they do not consume protein. And newborns in the UK are routinely screened for this following birth via the heel prick test. If the condition is caught early, then intellectual and development disabilities can be minimised and sufferers can lead a normal life.